I'm Ken Taylor Reynaga, and this is Ada, my daughter, and I'm a painter out in Chino, California.
And you have a barn here at Stefan's Hill House.
Yeah.
How did it come about?
I think, after Stefan, saw this property and this opportunity, and then he made these barns, and he's kind of designated one to just showing my work kind of permanently.
Yeah.
So I think that's, Stefan's always trying to reinvent the way we're buying or looking or seeing art. So I think that's his way of like maybe not preparing for a show every year and just making work and then showing it like fluid.
How did you meet him?
I met Stefan through a friend, actually. I was dropping off some sculptures. My friend, I had a minivan and my friend needed help dropping off some sculptures.
Yeah.
So I just helped him, and then he asked me if I was an artist. And then, from there, we started just talking. I showed him work, and then we probably started working together a year after we met.
Yeah. And what they are showing at the moment at the Hill House?
I still haven't seen it, so it's going to be a surprise for me. But
okay.
I'm pretty sure paintings. I'm just going to be showing some paintings. I kind of feel like when you're working with someone, it's a collaboration, and I kind of step out of the curatorial aspect of it, and I just let Stefan and his team show how they how they see it, the work. Eventually, I think the work will just kind of all narrate itself in the end.
And you have your studio here in Los Angeles?
Yeah, in Chino, California.
Chino.
So it's like 30 minutes outside of LA.
So how does it work? You work in your studio and Stefan selects works from time to time, or?
It works pretty organically. We work together in a sense where, I'm making work, and then, he's just selecting, what he wants to show and.
Tell me a little bit about your work. What are your main topics, or how are you working? What gets you inspired?
To me, I feel like obviously art imitates life and life imitates art. So I'm always trying to live this life that I feel like has inspiration and stuff. And so I draw from real life. So my practice is really me studying the real life and painting and making drawings and stuff like that. And then when I go to the studio, I try to take all that experience that I have in the world and actually, I just have a dialogue with this painting, this square. So then I see what the thing's telling me, and then I paint on it, and then I see what that's telling, and then I see what I'm saying, and then we kind of just work until we have this kind of formal, something that's formally kind of where I can agree with, okay, the color's good, the concept, the composition, and then the what my paintings end up becoming is basically my life. So Southern California, Mexican American imagery, colors, tradition, and I try to let performance kind of influence my paintings, turn the music up, set the vibe, set this spiritual way of just kind of art for me is my religion. So it's my way of accepting the world, talking about the world, healing from my past and all my shit that I have, so that way I can pass on some good vibes and not just bring fucking destruction to the world, which there's enough of that probably. I would like to say my art's on the side of love, which is not popular. Normally it's like more popular to destroy, I think, or something.
What was a topic that you recently covered, or something in theme, or what did you think about and then translate it into a painting?
Well, I like to think about like the landscape and like the Wild West. So it's like, people like to think like, oh, California, and like, you know, they don't really understand that California was already, there were people living here already, natives, and then, you know, after the sombrero came and the handgun, you had more people started moving west because they could fight, you know, natives with arrows. So then it becomes like this place that's become incorporated and become like a city based off of just people kind of coming here. But it hasn't, it's not like the East Coast. Like east of the Rockies is like more people from Europe and that type of like culture. And now here it's like all those cultures met, but there's too much space. And it's still kind of like the Wild West, you know? Like people walk around, you know, people walk around with guns everywhere, but like out here it's like, you know, I have, you know, friends in middle school walking to school with the gun, you know, because you protect yourself. And it's like, that's that mentality that I feel like kind of shows up in the work. And I use motifs like the cowboy hat to kind of represent these feelings of it, not really like direct imagery, you know?
Yeah. Did you have, could you describe, you know, where your way of putting it on the canvas comes from? Have you been to university to study artistry?
So I went to Cal State Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And there I learned about like painting from Joey Cotting and Sarah Vanderlip, who worked for Kiki Smith and Chris Burden. And so it was actually kind of like this conceptual idea of painting. Like the first idea was like, how can you make a painting without painting? And I kind of grew up selling in a swap meets. So me and my family, we'd travel down to Tijuana and then buy stuff in Mexico and then come back and sell it out here. So there's a lot of artisanal kind of things. So I use the kind of like these two things in my practice, like where it's like this artisanal version of like, hey, you need a painting? Like I'll make you a painting, versus like, hey, can you make a painting without painting? And like this like idea of conceptual art, you know, what was taught to me in like a university, and then like my experience of seeing like, wow, like this person is just painting every day because that's what they have to do to make a living. So I think like I have this kind of play about like, how can I make this like traditional artisanal painting like have the depth of like some sort of concept or theory of painting, you know? And I normally try to just, you know, it's about layers to me. It's like the more dynamic you can make a painting and like figure out, like a painting's like a puzzle to me. So I'm like building a puzzle and it's like, how complex can that puzzle be? Like sometimes a simple puzzle is really nice and easy, but typically it, you know, I'm trying to build puzzles that do, you know, you have to, it's like listening to some experimental jazz. You gotta kind of like adjust your taste to it, you know, and like let it sink in and
how do you know painting is finished and or when the puzzle is done, you know?
I don't think it ever is done. I think a lot of artists talk about this, but it's never done. It's just, you know, it's just left alone.
Yeah.
But you can feel it, right? You feel it like when you see something, you know, like that's done. But it's not done. It's just like I want that, how it is. It's like a person, like you fall in love. You're like, oh, are you done? Like, no, you're not done, but I like you the way you are right now. So that's like even almost more kind of like perfect, right? It's like you accept the imperfections. Because I mean, in a painting, it's like, what do you, like, I'm not going for this perfect thing because it's kind of like, I think it's insane to go for something perfect, you know? It's like, because it's not.
Yeah, sometimes perfection is not perfect.
Yeah, there's no. So I kind of like that loose kind of, you know, in the moment. Like back to what I was saying with my painting, it's like I try to gather experience through practice. So like I'll draw a tree, I'll draw an avocado tree. So I've been making a series on avocados, avocado trees. And what I do is I look, there's an avocado tree where I live and I just look at it. And then when I go to the studio, I try to paint it from that experience. Then that's what I mean by experience, not like, because I wouldn't say memory because I'm not trying to play like memory, you know, or have memories. I'm just like, no, I've seen this tree before. Like, I'm gonna try my best to like show you what I've seen, you know? and then at the same time, like, make it alive. Like, you got to make a painting like alive, you know. And it's funny, it's like actually everything I've ever done in my life kind of like means the painting, you know. It's like the way I've like stuccoed things like this, you know, lay tile. It's like these movements, it's like for a purpose, but it's also like that's what painting is. Like, so I'm just blocking in this color because it has a good shape, and it's like what color goes good with this color. Well, let's do some tests, let's science it up. And then, like, you know, you don't know, and then you just throw something on there, and then that turns into something else. And then, you know, the palette, I have a palette that I've been using now for like 6 years. And palette, I just mean like the piece of wood, and then I mix everything on this piece of wood like this big. And that's everything I do, right? Is right there. And I feel like that's the seasoning for my paintings, you know, where it's like I just season it all on that palette, and then with the music, and just kind of not judge myself, you know. Don't judge yourself.
How do you, you already mentioned how you work with Stefan. Stefan is quite unconventional gallerist.
Yeah.
So did you have any doubts working with him?
I mean, doubt is a funny thing, you know. I don't think I had doubts working with him, because it's, to me, there's no, like, there's nothing bad that can happen from making art. I had a friend in Mexico City tell me that, you know, when you live your life with art, you don't have to be afraid of anything, because, like, the same spirit will take care of you, you know? So it's like, if I'm here to make art, nothing bad can happen to me. So I don't have any doubts.
Yeah.
I think Stefan is, you know, someone who can be controversial, but I think that's only because he shows more of himself than I think other people are willing to do. And I feel like that's probably his best marketing tool. And it's not even like a thought out process, you know. It's just like, I think he's like that, you know. He's willing to share his opinion and listen to others, and I feel like that's something that he's always done to me, is listen to my side of how I view things. And, you know, I think that's, like, coming from two very different backgrounds, I feel like that's kind of what maybe the world needs a little more of.
Yeah.
Is like, maybe you should talk to someone who's not like you a little more, you know.
Yeah. I mean, what I really like is Hill House.
Yeah.
Because it's not a typical gallery space, and you feel it. It's you feel really at home.
Yeah.
There, and we also discussed this. You know, it's not necessary that you have white walls and a clean room to enjoy art, as it is, practiced usually.
Yeah, I mean.
And you see it at the opening now. People are relaxed. They like to sit and listen to some music and have a look at the paintings.
Yeah, I feel like I think it's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I go to openings now, have a kid. It's like, if I go to an opening and Ada's with me, it's like, she's not having it. You know, there's nowhere for her to go, sit. Like, it's just these white walls, people talking, and like you said, you know, the art. So for me, it's really a breather to kind of have this environment, so I can bring my daughter, and it's like, all right, cool. It's like, you know, we can find a little corner to kind of hang out and catch a break.
And you don't feel absorbed by someone, and you don't have to take care of how you look, how you behave, and stuff like that.
Or if you're standing by yourself, no one's talking to you, and it's like, oh, what do I do now? It's like, here you can just go look at a tree.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or just simply listen to music.
Yeah. And you have something to do. I think that's actually kind of interesting. It's like how we interact with art, where it's like, when you try to force that, like, and make it into, like, I see people looking at a painting that's close, like, what are you looking for? It's like, you looking for the gold in there or what? And it's like, No, but when you're listening to music and then you're like, wait a minute, like I think I just saw something in that painting that I wasn't expecting. Like let me, like wow, like you're gonna remember that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what about the ballpark? $2 grand? $1,600. That's why he sold me the speaker company. Because he couldn't make that. He took both of them took jobs for you. 9K. That's too much. That's like
Last time I took the bus, it was very lifelong journey.